Hi YouTubers, and welcome to weeks 33 and 34 of my pregnancy. And yeah, these 2 weeks have actually been, it feels very much like the end of a very long pregnancy. It kind of feels like it's the start of the last sort of block, the start of the end, if you will. So the symptoms have been the same as they have been for the last sort of couple of weeks, well, the last sort of month or two. Acid reflux has been quite bad every day. Heartburn has been pretty bad as well. The problem sleeping is getting quite bad as well. Legs keep getting crampy, and I don't know, I lie down and my legs will start sort of feeling like I have to move them. They like they're going numb. It's not a nice feeling at all, so you have to wiggle around and you're shifting your weight. The other problem is getting such a large chest as well. It's always been a little bit of a problem, but even more so now. My arm goes to sleep because if you're lying on your side and you're pushing on your chest, and then your chest is pushing onto your arm goes dead. So you know, your arm is either back here somewhere, or you try to squeeze it between your belly and your boobs, and there's not any room there. So yeah, sleeping is a little bit of a nuisance. Getting up a couple of times in the night as well, just to go to the loo, which I understand is going to get worse anyway, so that's not too bad at the moment. I miss not being able to lay on my back, and I miss not being able to lie on my front. So yeah, you have to lie on one side or the other, and they suggest that you lie on your left side. So you lie on your left side, and if you've got a hard bed, then what happens is that you'll wake up and your hip is numb, because all of that pressure, all of your pelvis, your legs and the belly is all pushing down onto your hips. So you wake up and it's like, ugh, it feels like someone's just dead, like punched, well yeah, on your thigh, on your leg, your hips and all the way around your lower back, and it's really uncomfortable, and it's the horriblest feeling, and you have to move, and of course you're waking up several times in the night feeling that, so you're getting broken sleep constantly throughout the night. I like to think that it's practice for when the baby arrives, but it can be a bit frustrating. So these weeks were Christmas, so it happened over Christmas. Christmas was actually a really great time for me. I got to spend it with my family, and I got to spend it with my partner's family as well, which was nice. Saw friends, went out for drinks and some meal a couple of times. Not been able to eat very much either, and I don't know, my appetite, I still haven't lost my appetite, but not being able to eat as much, you kind of don't want to eat as much, and you still get hungry, you still want to eat, but you just can't get it in, and that's quite frustrating. Something that I have discovered, which I'm loving, is Koppenberg has a alcohol-free version, which is actually really nice and tastes just exactly the same as the real thing, which is very rare, because usually they taste like, you know, alcohol-free stuff, like alcohol-free wine tastes like vinegar. It's not great. So but yeah, I had some Koppenberg pear, and that's actually really nice. It's really nice, because I miss my cider very much, so I can't wait to have a proper one in a couple of months' time. So yeah, and I had a couple of photo shoots as well. So getting to the very end, and there's only a couple of maternity shoots that I have left now. So it's good to do them, and there's certain things I can still do, but there's a lot of stuff obviously that I can't, and it does make me feel a little bit annoyed that I can't model the way that I used to, because you know, when you model from your fingers to your toes. It's not all about just standing there and smiling. You know, sometimes you have to be a back bend, and you have to do the back bend over and over and over again, or you have to twist, or you have to hold a pose, or you have to hold your balance and balance on one foot or a heel, or you know, and your legs are like shaking away, and they're like, oh, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, and you're there like, ow, this is really starting to hurt, this is hurting, this is hurting. And before now, I have actually left a photo shoot where I did hours and hours and hours of yoga poses and artistic photos, and I was covered in gold body paint, and by the end of it I couldn't actually walk. I was almost paralysed from it. It was so painful, really painful, and my back just couldn't take it. It was horrible. So yeah, you have to make sure that you're really careful when you do things, and obviously being pregnant, there's only so much that I can do anyway with my movements, and I get bad back pain anyway, so it limits, very much limits what I can do. And as that's my job, it's very frustrating not being able to do my job to my full capacity. But anyway, yeah, that's that. Baby stats for 33 and 34 weeks is the baby is between 17 and about 17.5 inches long, and also weighs about 4.5 pounds. So getting bigger, getting fatter. Nearly everything has grown by now, so yeah, her movements are still very big. Every day, every couple of hours, I'm feeling something. Although she's not kicking and punching as much, the more of just flips and turns, but yeah, still lots of movements coming from her, so that's good. And the midwife as well, we had a midwife appointment, and she measured my bump again, and we listened to a heartbeat on the Doppler, and the heartbeat, I think at the time, it was quite high. I think it was 150, which isn't high for a baby, but it's the highest that our little girl has. It's the highest her heart rate's been so far, and that was because she was desperately trying to get away from the Doppler. She doesn't like it. She doesn't like being poked. She doesn't like being prodded. She doesn't like it when people try putting their hands on her. She wiggles away and goes to the opposite side of my belly, and that is where she'll stay until someone starts poking her again, and then she'll move away. She doesn't like any kind of contact really in that respect. So yeah, what else? The belly measuring was great. She's exactly where she should be. Perfect line going all the way up. So no worries there. And the only thing that I did worry about is when I went to a photo shoot, I noticed that I actually thought that maybe I peed myself. And we still think that it may have actually been pee. I'm not sure. So yeah, I peed myself. Which is actually a really horrible thing to admit to, but I wasn't sure at first, because I just noticed that I was wet, and there was like a massive big wet patch in my pants, and I thought that my waters had broken, or I didn't know what it was, and I was a bit worried and scared, and I asked the midwife, and she said that it could be amniotic fluid, it could be the waters breaking, it could have ruptured somewhere, or something like that, not ruptured but punctured, and you know, it could be slowly leaking out bit by bit, and obviously that's a bit worrying. So she said to keep an eye on it, and just to let her know if the next day or whenever I kept moving around, if keeps on getting a large amount of water like that again, to quickly phone triage and tell them what was going on, because it could be a really, really bad thing. But luckily it didn't happen again. And yeah, she said that it could just be because the baby's starting to move downwards and pressed against the bladder, that it could just be the baby making me pee myself. So yes, so now I've taken to wearing pads all the time. So that's great. I've also noticed that my milk's coming through now, or started to come through. It's come through more on the one boob than the other. So I've been a bit worried that I'm going to be somewhere and I'm going to hear a baby cry and I'm going to suddenly start leaking everywhere. It hasn't happened, but I'm a little bit nervous about that happening. So I don't know whether to start putting pads in my bras or something. We'll see. But at the moment it's just I've noticed that there's like a bit of crust there, and you can tell that something has leaked out of the nipples. So yeah, it's it's quite weird for a woman to go through all these things and have, you know, something like your boobs, which has always been sexualized. You actually realise that they're not meant to be a sexual thing, they're meant to be a practical thing, and they're there just for a baby to feed out of. That's the use of them, that is the reason we have them, you know, and they're not as sexual as you think. And it also as well, like yeah, the lady form, woman's form, you kind of appreciate how wonderful it actually is, and how much your body changes to deal with pregnancy. And you know, the fact that your body just takes over and it knows how to grow a baby, where it's meant to grow the baby, and the baby knows instant, you know, how it's meant to turn and what needs to be grown next, you know, and what needs to function first, you know, what part of the body needs to grow next. And it's yeah, it's made me appreciate it so much more, because I never was interested in pregnancy before, and I never wondered, or I never was interested, and I didn't actually think the woman's body changed that much, apart from she got a big belly and, you know, probably had a bit more strain. I didn't actually realise how much the body changes, and I really didn't know what I was getting into. But you know, you live as you learn as you go along. So it's been a really interesting ride, and yeah, I can't wait till it finishes. So that's pretty much everything that's happened in those weeks. So the next couple of weeks, 35 and 36, I've actually done already. I'm so close to my due date, it's ridiculous. And there's quite a lot has happened actually in those weeks, so I'm going to make that video really soon. I might actually make the video straight after this and put it up in a couple of days time, because as I said, I'm really close to my due date and a lot has happened, so I want to tell you guys about that. And obviously I want to get these videos finished before I actually go into labour, which by some things that have been happening to me the last couple of days might actually be before the baby's due. So I'll tell you guys all about that in my next videos. So thank you ever so much for watching once again, and yeah, stay tuned for my next one. So thanks ever so much guys, and take care of yourselves. Bye.